What is up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode 61 of the STS Guys, a special Wednesday night episode. I am Jeremy.
Hey, it's Larry.
Hey, guys, it's Nate.
And I'm Scott. Sorry, my audio's messing up. My audio isn't working. It's weird.
We are the STS Guys, a weekly podcast where we sit around, shoot the stuff, and talk about anything geeky, nerdy, and cool. What is going on this week, guys?
Good save, Jeremy. Good save.
Hey, I have to, because this week I said we actually have a special guest on the podcast. Special guest. This is Ian. Say hello, Ian.
Hey, it's Ian Doge.
Hey, Ian Doge.
What is up, Ian? Thanks for joining.
Hey, Ian.
Hey.
So it's good to have you on the podcast, Ian. So the reason why Ian's on the podcast this week is because he was able to actually join us at our exciting adventures from this week. So normally I ask, hey, what's been going on this week, guys? But I don't have to ask any of you guys that just because I know, because we were all together when we took our adventure together.
Our first official all four STS Guys road trip.
And it was a doozy.
To Southern California, Anaheim, for DesignerCon, DCon.
Wait, Larry, so what you're saying is not only was it an STS Guys, not only was it an all STS Guys trip, but it was an all STS Guys road trip?
It was a road trip. Separately, we all traveled by one by plane, three by car. Like I said, to Southern California for our first ever DCon. It's previously been held in Pasadena, but this time it was in Anaheim, right by Disneyland at the Anaheim Convention Center.
I have to say, like I said, I've been in the Anaheim Convention Center one other time. Like I said, I forget how nice that convention center actually is. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But it's like I said, it was an awesome convention.
Yeah. No, I will say this. It just not to jump into anything specific that we saw. It's probably my favorite convention that I've been to in a very long time. Like just all the stuff that was there and everything. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those cons that kind of surprised me. And, we'll talk about it more, but it was a fun time to say the least. So, what do you want to go into, Jeremy? How do you want to talk about it?
I don't know. Like, there's literally just so much to talk about. So first let's kind of get into kind of the convention experience and kind of our kind of road trip all together. So kind of what Larry was saying, so we all kind of arrived at the con separately, but like I said, once we actually got there, so we all kind of met up. I said we grabbed our press badges, and then this con had probably one of the most interesting things that I've ever seen in a con. They had a separate, basically, exhibition hall where they actually queued the line to get into the con before it opened. Which is actually really, really cool, just because, like I said, they actually went into one of the lower halls in the lower stories of the actual convention of the Anaheim Convention Center, and
Hall E, if you know Anaheim.
Yeah, Hall E, and then so basically they had it all open, and they basically queued the line to get in on basically every day of the con. So the very first night of the con, so that was the VIP night. And so that basically only VIP badge holders and press and media and stuff like that got in. And so they actually had everything queued up in that bottom hall, which I thought was kind of cool because even though it's November, it's kind of cool that you're not waiting outside. Like, so you actually have a kind of a place to kind of relax and sit and wait for the actual convention to open. So what do you guys kind of think about that?
That was one of the things that I thought was the coolest idea because, to be honest, unless they have those escalators in the I can't remember which one. It's like D or C that are up there that actually have the escalators down. Yeah. Unless you're going to turn on those escalators, like you're wasting the big amount of that space. And when there's going to be a crowd that's going to come, especially when you have some of the guests that we'll get into later, is going to bring a crowd of people that are going to be waiting there. Setting up a specific like waiting area is probably the best idea that they could have done.
Yeah, I had said something right when we walked in because the guy had told me, go to Hall E, go to Hall E. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just thinking it's down the hall because it goes C, D. I'm expecting E to come along. But then we start going down the escalators, and I actually turned around and looked at the guy. I was like, "You mean down here? Like there's a separate waiting area?" Because I didn't see anybody. And then I went to the guy at the door, and I looked to my right, and I see the line. But I thought, like Jeremy said, it was so clever. Rather than like waiting outside, rather than like queuing up in some awkward line where you're not sure if people are sneaking in or something, it was clear like where your place was because you could see everybody coming in and everybody started queuing up, like they should. But it was nice because it was sheltered, it was air conditioned, there's a bathroom right next to us. I mean, for a waiting area, it was not bad at all.
Yeah. Well, and how many like cons have you gone to where there's just that mob of people that just kind of crowd around the doors to get into those halls, like, and then every couple minutes before the thing, everyone kind of pushes right up onto each other to the point where you're just like shoulder to shoulder waiting for that, having that big waiting area, and you can organize it because they had it really well like organized for here are the line and here's kind of where it starts and everything. It made it almost bearable to have to like sit in line. Like it was not bad.
And a lot of security too. A lot of like ushers, line ushers, and just people watching. I remember the second day, specifically, there was that one guy, and Jeremy knows who I'm talking about, but he was so serious about his job. He's like, you go down here, you fall in line, single file. It's kind of funny. You poke fun at people when you see that, but you almost appreciate it too. You're like, man, I love the organization here. This is great.
Yeah. So it was a
little over the top. But I think we can say what happened. It was Scott, right? They didn't let Scott down to the VIP area because he had a press badge.
Yeah, and
makes sense, right? The line is for VIPs. The security guard was very adamant that Scott couldn't go to the VIP line.
True. Tell us that experience, Scott.
Yeah. No, that was an interesting one. The sad thing was I did have a VIP badge. I just had left it at the hotel since the day before. We didn't need those VIP badges to do anything since we had the press pass. I was like, oh, this is fine. I'll just go downstairs. And no, that guy was kind of a dick. My question, I was gonna be like, what if I wanted to go film the line down there? Like,
he was definitely the most extreme we came across.
Yeah. But then, like Dave said, it's at least they were paying attention and he cared, man. Like that's kind of rare at a convention, so that's why I think it's worth calling out exactly what happened. Yeah,
well, and things like that, like especially with those lines, they had a really good system. Like the badges were all different color coded to a point of like you could easily look at a badge and tell what it was or what was going on. And then they had like those separate areas, so you knew like this is where you are, and they had people at each store being like, hey, you have a yellow badge, you got to go to this hall, go down this way, go down that way. Like it was really well organized for a large convention like that. Like that's was really impressive.
So what I find funny though about that entire situation is that by them blocking you from going to the VIP area, it actually worked out more to our advantage because we were basically able to kind of bypass that entire VIP line and get into the hall before they ever did, on any given day. So by them basically trying to say, hey, you can't go and wait down there. Hey, you know what? They're basically saying, hey, go ahead. You have approval to go ahead and cut the line just because you can basically go in this door as soon as it opens.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And like there was a little bit of a hiccup the first day, but the second day, super smooth. Seemed like we got in easy. Seemed like everybody else we were hanging out with, waiting to get in, got in easy. I didn't really hear any problems with line management or anything like that. And like you guys said, I didn't talk about the queuing area. The queuing area was awesome. Hey. It was awesome. So it was really cool. There's really no complaints for that. Right, there's been issues with security and that kind of stuff, but DesignerCon had it locked down. You can stop laughing.
But yeah, like Jeremy said, we had kind of a separate area, and Scott had mentioned this earlier. We had the press badges, so we didn't really there was a specific reason we got the VIP, but luckily with press, after a little bit of effort right at first, we were able to kind of get in on our own entryway, which made it nice for us to kind of get in there early, do what we needed to do, and then we could join the con, enjoy the con.
Well, let's talk about, like I said, just kind of our first experience once we got in the hall, because like I said, I think, like literally, like I said, from the moment we got there, from everything else, like I said, I think it's probably one of the most organized cons that I've actually seen and I've actually experienced in a while. Not only the getting of the actual badges, because they actually had the badge pickups even open the day before as well. So even before the actual like convention happened, that first night was VIP night. So but still anybody can come actually pick up their badge. I never saw basically anytime a huge line for badge pickup. It was basically always because they had multiple different booths available for badge pickup, where I never saw that really queued, really too large. Plus, like I said, the waiting area downstairs. Like I said, from day one, like I said, it was from my perspective a really organized con. But from the next kind of step was we got into the con. Honestly, being in the convention on Friday before even the VIPs got in, and kind of just getting the sense of the largeness of the exhibitor hall. It was bigger than what I thought it was going to be, because they actually took up two specific halls. So I think Hall C and Hall D, right, guys?
It's C and D, and yeah, just to put it into perspective, one of the last cons I went to, it was years ago, but it was at BlizzCon a few years ago, and they only used, I think at that point there was 3 of those ones, so they had the one more section. This felt as big as one of those major cons, like with the size, like it was impressive. I did not expect it to have 2 of those convention halls.
Yeah, it definitely blew me away, the amount of stuff and the amount of vendors that they had and artists, and you could just keep walking and finding things, like that was the coolest part, and definitely a lot more than I had expected. I didn't think it was going to be that big. I knew it was going to be big, but it was much larger than I had imagined, and that was awesome.
Yeah, totally. And I had been saving a list of things I wanted to check out on my Instagram under the saved collection thing. And after I got home, I kind of scrolled through it again. I'm like, oh, how did I miss this? How did I miss that? Like, there was so much cool stuff that because I didn't have a really good plan, right? Totally my fault. I missed a couple of things that I wanted to see and a couple of things I wanted to buy, but there was so much other cool stuff in the moment, didn't even matter.
Yeah.
Well, and to kind of piggyback with Larry, like one thing that we had kind of discussed was almost every one of those booths as we'd walk by, even if it wasn't something that we were like super interested in, like there was at least interesting stuff at almost every booth or every other booth as you walk by. Like, people had all these different like collectible things, or their different kind of arts or prints or anything like that. Like, it was really cool just going and looking and see, like, this guy's creative. What did he make? Like, it was awesome just to go see everything that people had.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't something that you and I would normally buy, or even kind of walk by, like it was still really cool to see the stuff they had made, whether it was like statues, like figures, or like art prints, or any of that stuff. Like, just as a fan of that kind of like scene, like it was really cool to see some awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had some pretty cool experiences, which I know we're going to get into, but just the people that showed up, the companies that were there, and they had some of the main people from most of those companies, and some of those were smaller artists, but Funko had some big names. Some of the other companies that I went to had some of their main creators or main designers there. I mean, they were in full force to represent themselves. Yeah. That was really cool.
So yeah, Medicom had a lot of their like designers for their different lines that were there doing like signings, or where you could meet them, kind of a thing too, which was really cool.
Even that, I don't know his name, but the main Medicom guy was like hanging out at the booth pretty much the whole time on Friday, like by himself. He was just kind of standing there. I'm like, should I walk up to him, like say hi? But I didn't even know his name or anything.
When I went through the line, I was like, hey, how's it going, buddy? I don't know his name either, but I said hello.
Well,
It's like Americans.
well, part of the cool interaction too on that first day was also seeing some friendly faces. So real quick, just because we didn't do this in the beginning, I want to give a quick shout out to the chat. We have in the chat Nerd Smithing, we have Heather Bradshaw, who we actually saw at the convention, so it was nice to see her. We have XOXO, we have Harvey Sanders, and we have Nicola, which we also saw at the convention as well. So it was great to see you, Nicola, at the convention. So
yeah, right.
That's
And like
you-
we said earlier, Ian Doge was with us too.
yeah. So now probably becomes like kind of that the exciting part of day one. So day one, since it was low key, like so the VIPs hadn't even gotten into the door yet. We basically kind of did a quick kind of just run around the convention center. One, just to kind of get our bearings, and two, just to kind of see kind of what we wanted to set up for like interview wise for some of the videos that we were going to be shooting.
We wanted to get a picture in front of that giant Jurassic Park dinosaur before like the big whole crowd came in.
Yeah. That thing was amazing.
It was
That
really
was
cool.
awesome.
That was really cool. Plus, I said it was really cool because we had a lot of like pre-set up and just having some conversations with some of the vendors. So a lot of them said we're still getting set up. We're saying, hey, we just organize a time to come back later, just so that way we can one, they can have their full booth set up, and then two, like so they can have the rest of the time to be able to set up their booth for the VIP night. So as I said, as the hour kind of closed out, we actually made our way over to kind of one of the things that we were most excited to see there, which was the Funko booth. And so Saturday Morning by Funko, which is basically they brought all of their cereal, they brought some cereal bowls, they brought some of their t-shirts. It was an awesome store-like setup. You had basically some of the employees, they're all dressed in like their aprons. They had shopping carts, so basically when they went and got your order, they had like shopping carts. That's how they got your order. So it was really good. It was really cool to kind of see that. But probably the coolest part was kind of an interaction, kind of the you and Ian had, Larry. Did you guys want to kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So we walked in. Funko is doing their Instagram live with Hillary and Mike Becker, kind of just showing off everything that was going to be at the booth. Ian, you may want to unmute yourself. We were waiting right outside the booth, and Ian's like, "Hey, I really want to meet Mike Becker." I'm like, "All right." Like he recognized Mike Becker from Making Fun the movie, right? Funko documentary currently on Netflix. Go check it out if you haven't watched it. But he recognized him. Like, all right, just wait, like let him finish up, and we can probably go say hi. So we're hanging back like a good 6-10 feet, something like that. Like we weren't right up on the booth. And as soon as they wrapped up, Mike Becker says, "Hey, come here." And then what happened, Ian?
So he brought me up to the Funko booth. So I gotta be the first one in the Funko booth. So basically I was the first one to do all the stuff at the Funko booth. So I took a picture in the giant cereal bowl. I got a big spoon, and he gave me a little box of cereal that's somewhere. I don't know where. We got way too much. But I will show you my spoon.
Yeah, that's not just any ordinary spoon.
Yeah.
It is a Mike Becker signed spoon.
That is awesome.
Pretty cool.
I actually thought that interaction was so cool because I know we were kind of sitting back and we were like almost fanboying a little bit, like, "Oh my God, that's Mike Becker." And then I started asking Larry, are those the guys from the Funko Funcast? And
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we see Mike Becker call Ian over and they have the interaction. And it was just really cool to watch because he was so nice to Ian. He signed this, the spoon. He gave him the box of cereal. Jeremy's got one of the boxes of cereal.
Here's what the box of cereal look like. So basically, first non-Funko employee to basically hold this box of cereal, even before like everyone else got into the booth, was not the one, the only Ian Doge. So
Yeah.
When it really was cool to see like I'm going to say a bigwig, right, for a company to see somebody like as a fan's like, "Hey, like I have time. Like, what am I? You're at a con to meet people anyway. Yeah, take a fan aside and do something cool like that. That's amazing."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like he took a picture with Ian in the cereal bowl, right? And then they did their thing. He signed his shirt. And then they called me over. Like Dima took the picture. He's like, "Hey, you want to get a picture of all three of you?" I'm like, "Okay." And like as all this is happening, I'm just looking over at these guys like, this is happening right now. Like Mike Becker just called my kid over and we're taking pictures and stuff. Like he's just sitting there handing out free cereal. It was pretty awesome. I think like everybody has that aha Funko moment. I feel like that was Ian's aha Funko moment. And then it was just a +1 in my column for more awesome Funko moments.
So the Ian, he didn't just sign your spoon though, right? You got another signature.
So the next day, Jeremy, Ian, and I were walking around. We bought our Bear Brick cereal at the Metacom booth because Metacom had their own cereal. And as we were kind of just regrouping after we bought it, trying to figure out where to go next, Mike Becker and David Romero, the director of Making Fun, walked by. And I'm like, dude, there goes Mike Becker. So Jeremy grabbed our Bear Brick cereal, went and had him sign it for us. Mike Becker walks back out, says hi to Ian, and then Ian's like, "Will you sign my shirt?" Second day, right? New shirt, new autograph shirt. And then I'm like, wait a second, we had a pop too. I'm like, Ian, did you want Mike Becker to sign your pop? So he said, yeah, dude, I'll sign it. Show everybody what you got, Ian.
So here's my cool signed Funko Pop. It's Fortnite, and it says, "To Ian, have fun, Mike Becker."
Awesome.
And also, before I finish talking here, please go to iandoge.com and subscribe.
Fair.
Nice job. You take after your dad.
Shilling like a villain.
Yeah.
Good job, Ian.
Oh,
so
and
now
by the way, I beat Nate in Fortnite.
multiple times, Ian. I will say this live in front of everybody. You are way better at Fortnite than me.
I'm going to tell you that this, I think most of us would beat Nate in Fortnite.
Mm-hmm. Ian, so what is your...
I don't know. I'm not very good at it either.
So, Ian, you said go to iandoge.com to subscribe to your channel. What is your channel? What do you do on your channel?
So, what I do on my channel is I do some gaming videos.
Unboxings? Have you ever done any unboxings?
Some unboxing videos.
Challenges? How about challenges? Do you do
and
those?
some challenges.
Cool.
You guys like
And-
Splatoon 2? He plays a lot of that too.
And I do some streams on there
Awesome. So
for Fortnite.
you can search
basically.
for Ian Doge, or if you just type in iandoge.com, it'll take you directly to his channel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Talk about a great start to a con, though. You know,
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
all-
it was awesome.
Like I said, that was, like I said, literally, I said, probably, I don't know, I'm speaking for me, and I don't know if I think I speak for you too, Larry. I think this turned into probably one of your favorite conventions that you've actually been to, just because it was, I hate to use the word intimate, but it was, because you basically got to do what you wanted to do with not that much effort. Like I said, we got into the Funko line with relative ease. Like I said, we got into. Like I said, we had some interactions with some awesome people with relative ease.
Let me just add on to that, Jerry, because walking through the con, I was surprised that like there was never a point where they had like congestion points. Like they had it laid out really well that you could walk around and see everything. They were really good about like managing lines. So for like, you know, Metacom and Funko had huge lines.
There was one time on Saturday after Ian got a cheeseburger at the food court thing, when we were walking back, that I got frustrated because there was some congestion. I'm like, "Ugh, people get out of my way." And then I realized, I'm like, wait a second, this is like the first time all weekend that I felt like I had to slow down because there were people in my way. Like one time did I run into some people.
You know what it was is I think they gave extra space for the aisleways.
The eyes, yeah, they were super wide. The whole thing was just super laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
super wide, like aisles helped out so much.
Mm-hmm. No,
yeah, never. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I think I made comments to, I don't know, to Scott. I think to you guys multiple times on the width of the aisles. Like I said, it just that made such a huge difference in terms of moving the traffic in and out. and just making sure that one, like I said, if you stopped at a booth or you stopped in front of a booth, you didn't feel like you were blocking the rest of the traffic behind you, where you felt a rush to basically, okay, hey, hurry up and look, and then move along to the next booth. So I really liked the layout that way, just because it felt like I could take my time at the majority of the vendors.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I think the best example is the actual Funko booth. We posted up a video of me walking in front of the Funko booth as slow as I possibly could and making an awesome video. You can't do that at San Diego. You can't do that at New York Comic Con, right? It's move along, move along, move along. You can't take that time and just stand there. But we were able to stand in front of the Funko booth, meet up with the fanatics, make some new friends. It was awesome. And like I said a second ago, like, it was just super laid back and super awesome.
Yeah, and if you guys are curious about what the Saturday morning Funko booth looked like at Designer Con, we actually posted a video of what was that? That was you, Larry, that you kind of took a little walkthrough.
Yeah. So yeah. It's up there. I've got another Metacom one too that I haven't posted yet. That should go up tomorrow, Thanksgiving. I should have it ready to go, finishing up the editing, finding some awesome music. But if you want to see the Funko booth, the Metacom booth, we'll have that video come up real soon.
Yeah, that booth, the Funko booth, was just so cool. You know,
it was like, just the whole setup, man. Like, it was just really cool. It was more than, like, they could have just brought like the cereal and some boxes or something, but no, they had that giant cereal bowl you could take a picture in. And on VIP night, right, everyone got to take a picture with Mike Becker. Mike Becker hung out there, I'm pretty sure, for the whole 4 hours. Ian, mute. Pretty sure for the whole 4 hours, which is awesome. Then you could taste test the cereal down at the other end and take your picture in front of another giant box of cereal. It was awesome.
Yeah. Really cool. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, check it out on our channel. We posted a video of that Funko booth. It's really awesome.
I do have to say, I think the only time where there was a line that got a little kind of out of control was on Saturday when Jeremy and Larry went to go meet Aquabats' MC Bat Commander.
Yeah,
right?
And that line was fine.
The only reason I say it went straight across one of the aisles.
Oh yeah, fair.
You know, like, yeah, like it was the only line where I was like, "Ooh, they should have like snaked that one a little bit."
True, but, and it was so slow. I had so many people cut in front of me.
Yeah,
because we met MC Bat Commander, me and Jeremy from the Aquabats. It was awesome.
The surprise.
He was super cool. Took pictures with us, signed some autographs. If you don't know, the guy who leads the Aquabats also created Yo Gabba Gabba. So there's a little bit of glare, but I had him sign my Plex Pop. It's pretty awesome. I was happy. Me and special guest Ian Doge used to watch Yo Gabba Gabba all the time. So that was pretty rad. But yeah, he was awesome. Took his time. Like, he was talking to one couple for like a good 20 minutes. Once I mentioned the Kickstarter and how I contributed and how I was stoked to get my Aquabats vans here pretty soon, like, we became best friends and we talked for a good like 5 or 10 minutes too. It was super cool. And again, so laid back. Like, everybody just took the time for the fans, the artists, the people signing, Mike Becker, like everybody just, it was fans first, which you don't always see or don't always have time for at other cons. So yeah, it was just beyond my favorite part, man.
Well, like cool. You said we're talking about our good experiences. We should also talk about the bad experiences and how basically the STS guys got cut in line twice.
Oh yeah. That was not cool, bro.
It wasn't cool. It happened. It happened twice.
Twice. How do you get cut in line?
So. What happens is when you get cut in line, what ends up happening is, like I said, there's not anybody that can cut you in line. There's a certain caliber of people that can cut you in line.
Yeah.
So the first person that cut, so me and Larry were standing there, and walking by, this guy comes up with his like little entourage of people, and it was none other than skateboard legend Steve Caballero. So those of you who don't know who Steve Caballero is, like I said, in the world of like Tony, it's like basically Tony Hawk, Steve Caballero. Like it's they're hand in hand. Basically,
like, he didn't get his own video game, but he's still a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he's a legend in skateboarding world.
Yeah. I owned basically almost every pair of Steve Caballero shoes back in the day, just because, listen, they were my favorite skate shoes back in the day.
Yeah, he's definitely a big deal.
It was pretty cool. But how do you one up getting line cut by a skateboarding legend? Well, the next day, again, this is like literally we were next in line and then people walked up. So the next day, we were in line because Mike Becker was doing a signing and they were giving out posters. And I wanted one of those Funko posters. And none other than Jack Black, star of Kung Fu Panda, star of Orange County, star of School of Rock, cut us in line.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah. That was interesting because that kind of like that one halted everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I texted you guys because you guys weren't with me. I'm like, dude, Jack Black is over at the Funko booth.
Yeah.
Like, get over here.
Yeah, I totally missed it just because I was basically trying to save a spot, but then it was like the worst place for saving a spot for Larry for MC Bat Commander.
Yeah, dude, you were saving a spot, but you were number one in line.
I was the first in line, so
Yeah.
it was the worst spot to save a spot in.
Yeah, that's always the most awkward spot. You're like,
Now, let me just cut the whole line.
yeah, let me just put somebody right in front of the rest of the line.
Yeah, so I didn't get to see him that cut. However, later that day when we're walking out of the convention, we run into Jack Black a second time, basically having I think lunch with his family outside the hall.
Yeah, at a little picnic table across from the food trucks, minding his own business, not anyone seeming to notice besides us who did the double take as we walked by. I'm like, there goes Jack Black again. But yeah, like Jeremy said, fortunately / unfortunately, he was with his family, so we didn't get a chance to say hi. We didn't want to bother him, but it was still cool to walk by Jack Black again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to see, and not often outside of like them being kind of, I hate to say it, them being paid to be there, right? Like you don't see celebrities at cons all that much unless it's like San Diego. So to see somebody come into like an actual, like, I'll say movie star, right? Like coming in to just do real people things, you're like, hey, you're just like us. Like it was really cool to see that there was like somebody.
Right, he was walking around with this giant Funko bag of cereal, just like we were.
Yeah, like he walked out with
one of those
right there.
Yeah,
like,
so that just means there's hope that one day we can star in a movie with The Rock or Kevin Hart. You never know.
I'm a fat guy. I got at least one part of that down.
Skadoosh.
I'm fat and hyper, so I mean I fit part of that mold.
Have you seen that piss?
That's right. That
video called, and I need that piss.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I forgot this
great movie.
There's a whole thing that I forgot. I need these things called acting skills. Don't really have that.
I do want to call out, the thing about Funko is that it all really worked out in our favor as far as like the halls. Cause I know, the guys were really worried about getting those cereals. I know when we first heard about it, it was like, oh man, there's only gonna be 1,000. That's only like 300 a day. Like we're doing all the math. Like this isn't gonna work out. We're gonna get back in line. But like Jeremy had mentioned earlier, the press badge kind of saved us a little bit just because we got to get in early. And I will say getting in that line was really cool because everybody was just so excited to buy this cereal. Like we're high-fiving each other, we're walking through, and I know we'll go through the individual halls, but we did pretty well at Funko. I will say that. But it was awesome because I know it was something that we were kind of all worried about. And then it ended up just working out like so well. Like most things at Designer Con, it just ended up being a better experience than I could have hoped for. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. I forget about the high fives. Like as soon as they let us into the Funko booth, like we were in the line before the official line. But as soon as they let us in the official line and we were snaking around, it was high fives all around, a little bit of cheering. It was a good time, right? And then you guys got to hang out with me. I think Scott and Nate hadn't met Nicola before, but her and her husband Scott were there. We met up with some other fanatics too. We met up with Snack Daddy, Hughes, James, Comic Zombie, Ness. Yeah, we met up with like so many people. I can't remember how many people we met up with. But it was cool because you guys were right there with me. So I think the best part of it, again, like I feel like I said this about fun days, but that whole Funko family thing, like going to Designer Con, like I knew that I was gonna have friends there and be able to say hi. And being able to spend some time in line with them and talk and make those friendships grow and grow, like that's the best part of going to these cons, and that's the kind of that bond we all have over Funko. And I know like Scott and Nate hadn't really got to experience that before, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. It was cool. We were walking up, and I turn around, and Larry's like, I think that's Nicola. Or no, wait. I think we saw him at like a stoplight. They're like, hey, we know you guys.
I mean, so me and you were walking.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And we saw Nicola, and we ended up introducing ourselves to their group. And I remember one of the guys in our group was like, oh, yeah, I recognize you guys. That's, it doesn't happen to us very often, but it's really cool when it does. And then as we're going on.
Nate, you can say it. That was the only time it's ever happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe there's one or two instances, but it's
first
rare,
time at least. First time, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's like Larry said, there's just everybody there was just so cool. I met up friends from some of my, from my action figure Discord. Larry, I was hanging out with Larry, and there's at least 3 or 4 instances where Larry's like, "Hey, I'm Larry from Funko Funcast," or not Funcast. I'm sorry, the
Funko board.
The board. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I said that wrong.
Okay.
But anyways, he's introducing himself with his username and also who he is, because I know that he had probably talked to these people beforehand, or on a regular basis. Just stuff like that kept happening, and it was just cool.
Some yes, some no. Like I always like to do both because I assume that no one remembers who I am. But the more you meet people, the more they remember who you are. So it was pretty cool.
I did make that comment though later too. Like you talk to people and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm Larry. This is my username," and people be like, "Oh yeah, like I know that." Like how recognizable it was for that family.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. Ian, I don't know where your headset is, but I was going to ask you a question.
Yeah. All right.
So, guess no question for Ian.
No.
Oh, there's our guest. Ian, unmute, sir.
What's your question?
So, Ian, we were just talking about how awesome the Funko community is. You've been to multiple Funko events, right? You've been to Fun Days twice. You've been to Fright Night. You've been to San Diego Comic-Con. Where did Designer Con rank? Was it your favorite, second favorite? Like, how is the Funko booth? How was buying all that cereal?
I did like the Funko booth very much. It was pretty great. They got good cereal. They had everything you ever want at a Funko convention.
Did you think it was more fun than Fun Days?
I'd have to say yes.
Yeah, I thought you'd say yes.
Because it's not loud. It's just very quiet.
Right?
Yeah.
So I do have something. I don't know if you guys saw this when I was walking around. And Jeremy, it might be in the film. I had some recordings of it. I did feel really bad for the Funko booth guys though, who I saw on Saturday having to wheel around a big ass shopping cart of milk because they were still doing the whole you could sample it, and but I looked at it, I was like, they went to the CVS across the street with that damn shopping cart and bought like 30 gallons of milk. It was one of those things I was like, oh, I feel really bad for those people.
I don't think we mentioned that yet, but Scott's talking about the taste testing, and they had the cereal out to taste. And I thought it was funny now that Scott says that, because I didn't realize they had gone and bought all the milk right then and there.
Two kinds, right? They had soy milk and regular milk.
Yeah,
right.
So, no, like you watch the person with a legitimate, because they were using like real shopping carts, but it was just full of milk in that thing. They're like wheeling it in the morning. I'm guessing they probably had to make multiple runs, but I felt really bad for them.
Multiple runs.
That was another unexpected thing to come from Funko. I didn't expect there to be taste testing.
Yeah, it was interactive.
Yeah, it makes sense why, because they're selling all of their cereal. They're selling the bowls. They're selling, everything related to the cereal. I just didn't expect that, and that was a way that you got a free mini box, and you got the spoon from it. So they just made it such an interactive experience. It was cool.
It's cool. Yeah, I really think like sometimes the Funko freebies are the best part. Like Scott's giant spoon.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, the mini boxes.
A mini box of cereal.
Show us.
Yeah.
Ian, you were showing us the other one, right? What's the other mini box of cereal that we got? The yellow one.
So Ian has the DCon one with him, the one that the first 1,000 people each day got that yellow DCon box that had an enamel pin inside. Yeah, Jeremy's got it too.
With the I'm not really sure what he is. Yeah, like the little
the
rocker.
DCon man.
Dude.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one had the enamel pin in it, and then this one you got for taking the taste test at the Funko booth.
Yeah.
Ian just finished his for a little pre-podcast snack. So how did it taste, Ian? Let's give the official Funko cereal review. How is the Funkos?
So if you buy them at the store, they're not very good, but if they're fresh, they're better.
True. Like we got to make.
If you eat too much of it, it kind of doesn't taste good. So you gotta get some milk first.
Specifically, I think that Mega Man we got was a little stale, but Ian is right. The ones we ate in Anaheim, that is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I know people hate on the cereal a lot, but I think maybe by the time it gets to the store shelves, whatever reason, for the first batch was a little bit older, a little bit stale. But when it was fresh, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I have to agree with Nicola in the chat. It tastes a lot less chemically.
Yeah.
We all had them. I had brought my daughter, so I was like, hell yeah, like, get a bowl of that. That'll keep her busy for a little bit.
The first ever junior STS Guys meetup with Ian and Scott's daughter.
Yeah, it was cool.
So kind of with some of the different DCon adventures that we had too. Like I said, we did the Funko booth. We met up with some of the different, but honestly, some of the other stuff there was like some of the things that we had never experienced before. I think one of the interesting things was in regards to honestly Medicom, just because we had basically never really had the experience at a Medicom booth before. So I thought that was really cool. I felt so bad for Nate the very first night.
Nate on Friday. That was.
So I'm gonna grab. So for those of you who follow my Instagram, you know what I'm grabbing right now. I have this big giant shelf of cereal right above me. So Medicom had a specific, basically, box of cereal. So in the Funko booth, you basically have this Bear Brick cereal, which is like this orange red box, and then Medicom had their own box, which was this blue box. So Nate he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go wait in line because you know what? I want that cereal, and I also want a couple other things from Medicom as well.
I remember that.
Poor Nate waited in that Medicom line that very first night.
All night long.
For like a good hour.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
He moved 10 spots.
Nate went in line, and I didn't see him again.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Jeremy, for getting that blue Bear Brick, because it was kind of a letdown. I gotta say, that was my only really bad experience at Designer Con. Is that like Jeremy just said, as soon as we got done with Funko, I ran over to Medicom because this is Friday night, which is VIP night only. I know we only have like 4 hours. And judging by the way Funko went, I was like, okay, I should be through Medicom, no problem. But by the time I got there, they had already started the second queue line. So I had to go sit by the wall. And I got through that pretty quick. So I'm like, okay, this shouldn't be too bad. But man, when I got to that second line, that thing just went to a snail's pace. I became like best friends with the guy that was in front of me. We're just talking about everything from toys to like all kinds of stuff. I just couldn't believe how long it took. It got to a point where I had met up with Jeremy and Larry, and I think Scott was there too. And I just told him, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait here anymore because it had literally stopped moving. And I think after looking back on it, I think it's because they had a signing at that same time, which I got to be honest, if it's VIP night, I don't know if a signing is really the best time to do that. Maybe wait until Saturday where everybody's there. But other than that, you know, it was awesome. And then unexpectedly, you know, the guys went back in line. You're like, I'm not waiting in Medicom again. I told them that. I said, I'm not going to do it again. But Jeremy comes up and surprises me. Like, guess what, man? Got you this Bear Brick cereal. I was like, that is so cool that you actually did that because I got so discouraged.
So let me tell the story regarding the Bear Brick cereal.
This is really bad. Like It makes me really sad for Nate on Friday.
So, so Saturday, me and Larry, I said, you know what? We going? I'm gonna go try for Medicom. Like, and Larry's like, it's probably not gonna happen. I said it's probably gonna be the line's gonna take forever. This, that, and the other. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna judge as soon as I get in. I'll judge whether it's a go or no go once I get into the line. So get in right away. The line literally is just slightly around the corner from the booth, so it's not too bad. So there's maybe 15, 20-ish people in line, if that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to chance it. So then Larry's like, you know what? I'm going to hop in line 2 right behind you. So you know what? We're right now, we're committed. We're getting the cereal. So we get in line to get the cereal. I realize exactly why the line is taking forever once we get into the line. It's because for when you go to check out, so basically you get like this the sheet.
The catalog.
Yeah, catalog basically.
2 pages.
Yeah, what stock they have on hand and basically you check what you want. You hand that basically to a shop runner and basically they prepare your order for you. So that way you can just move along to the checkout once you actually get into the booth. So what ends up happening is the cereal itself isn't actually on the checklist, and the majority of people wanted
that's what they were buying
cereal, and that's it. So it's one of those things where it was crazy just because our cereal order got mixed up in other people's orders when we were trying to check out. So I think as Larry, weren't you like some girl's order? Didn't you get mixed up with some like girl?
Yeah, like when it was my turn, the lady had this order sheet that said Janet at the top. I'm like, I'm not Janet, and she just the Medicom girl just looked at me weird. It took her a minute to figure out that I wasn't Janet.
Yeah, well, with me, like I was like, all I'm buying is cereal when I went through the line, and they grabbed the sheet and they had the little thing down. I was like, I just want my 2 boxes, whatever. And the person in the line just grabs the sheet and goes like, Joe? And this the person behind me goes. And I was like,
man.
Hey, like, I want that. It's right behind you. Give me 2 of those.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Scott brings up the point. So at that point in time, you know what? I'm going to try my luck. I'm like, hey, can I buy 2 cereals? And then she's like, sure. You go ahead and buy 2 cereals. So I'm like,
yeah, I think Medicom forgot that Funko put a 1 per person limit.
Yeah.
That's how I have 2 of them.
So now it makes a lot more sense why it was moving so slow.
Yeah,
kind of. There were no rules at the Medicom booth.
Yeah, it was a cluster.
Well, it's funny too because Funko had the same system and it worked way smoother. Yeah. They had a guy that took your order, says, okay, meet me at register 3. He got a shopping cart, filled it up, met you at register 3. You check out, no problem. And then Medicom, I mean, thankfully you guys got through, but like I said, it was just so slow.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, Nate, I think Funko was smart because they had more than 2 registers.
Yeah, that's true.
Going.
Yeah,
that was the other thing with Medicom is they had 2 people.
No, it's the other thing. Their people weren't from Japan. That was probably their first time in America.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah.
They had everything going against them at the Medicom booth.
Medicom had some exclusives. And I'm not a big Bear Brick guy. Even though I love Medicom, I don't collect the Bear Bricks really. And if you guys aren't familiar with Bear Bricks, I'll show you because we got one for free in our VIP. They're like these little tiny bears.
Lego
or
bears.
They have bigger ones too, but this is a little small one. And they're basically like Lego bears and they have different colors and different designs. This is the Andy Warhol one that they gave us for free. But I think that's what a lot of people were really after is those exclusive Bear Bricks because those things are crazy. I mean, you guys know some of those go for like $800, but you see them online, they go for like twice that. I mean,
yeah.
I think people want to get them when they can in person because it's a kind of a rare thing, especially in the US.
Yeah. Well, I'll just add it. So when I was in line for Medicom, this guy that bought 4 Bear Bricks, it was like $2,000, like $2,500 that the guy dropped, and it was just 4 items.
Wow.
It was nuts. But yeah, as if a collector, it's worth way more than that as soon as he leaves the as soon as he leaves that convention, that those items were worth it, especially when they brought a couple of their own bear bricks that too rich for my blood that they had for Designer Con specifically.
Yeah, and I will say, I think most of that stuff, you know, at the end of the day, it is Designer Con. It's a lot of designer type stuff. So artists make limited runs. They don't make a bunch of what they're making. So sometimes the prices are a little higher for most things that are there. But if you're a fan of what it is, and you know, you can appreciate the artist, you're not hesitant to spend that money. But Metacom's a good example of that, because these are high price items that are kind of going to a select collector's market. Funko was a nice kind of change of pace because it was still collector's items, but not at that crazy high price tag, and you're still getting a great product. But a lot of the other vendors, you know, they sold smaller stuff too. But if you're going to get like a toy, like I got a couple of toys from what you could call a quote unquote designer toy company, 1,000 toys. Those are a little bit more expensive, but there's such limited production runs on that stuff.
I don't know if you did an unboxing, Nate, but do you have one of them you can show off? Because those things are pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm hesitant on whether or not I want to unbox these, because some of the 1,000 Toys figures they come on these blister cards. So this is called, sorry for the glare. How's that? So this is called a Glios Synth Buildman. And this is made by 1,000 Toys, who also makes these, they're called like test bodies. So the crazy thing about these figures is the articulation is insane. Like I've never been able to get the range of motion that I get out of these figures out of anything else. They can do pretty much anything.
Well, I'm just going to jump in, Nate. We had a picture on our Instagram of the Hellboy prototype that they had.
Yeah.
On the Hand of Doom, every finger joint, so like each little part of the finger for his hand was articulated.
Yeah.
So you could actually do like different like hand positions, which I have never seen on another type of collector toy like that.
Right. No, yeah, Scott's right. They're doing that Hellboy, which looks really awesome, actually. And it just looks like it has the crazy articulation like the rest of these do. And these Glios figures, I got, you know, good friends with the guy at the booth. I was talking to him about their products and stuff, and he had mentioned that these Designer Con ones, there's actually a blue one that I missed out on that hopefully at some point I can maybe trade for. But they're only selling these colors at Designer Con. They're going to expand on the line a little bit more. But when I heard that, I was like, oh man, I got to grab this because it's just too cool. And they're modular too. So you can take pieces off of one, you can put it on another. You know, you can kind of custom make your own toy. So it's cool if you have more from the line.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's cool. And 1,000 Toys, actually, you know, I'll just admit it. Before I got there, I didn't know a whole lot about 1,000 Toys. I had seen a lot of their stuff and I thought it was really cool. And I'd always wanted to see them in person. But after going to the booth, they had each figure out so you could play with it and mess with it. And I started messing with one. I was just like, holy crap, this thing is crazy. And the quality was so good. And then after talking to some of the guys there, you know, I just became a really fan of the line. I'm going to be looking for them every time I go to a con.
I do have to say 1,000 Toys also had that really awesome, like, put in a couple bucks like in quarters machine. It was kind of like the ones that you have like the quarter machines for, like, you know, that you used to see outside like Toys R Us or at, you know, the, you know, Walmart or whatever.
Gumball machines?
Kind of like the gumball machines, but spit out like
the plastic gumballs.
Yeah, that spit out the little like plastic little blister things that usually have a really shit. Yeah, that have a little shitty toy inside. This one, they had like a bigger version of that spat out a collectible.
Yeah,
like, it was really cool to see. Like, I didn't take place because it did look like it took quarters. So I was like, I don't think anyone's got change for this. But it was a really cool thing to see. Like, they had this little booth set up that had that little Turner thing.
It was cool. And there was so many vendors that had like little stuff like that. Like they have, you know, there's all kinds of stuff there. There's a company called Toy Pizza, which makes these 3.75-inch figures that are like, they call them Knights of the Slice. And they're basically like pizza ninjas. But, you know, it was so cool to see the variety of different toy makers and people I had no idea were even existed. And then there's people like making modular toys that you can buy separate parts for. It's just it's very creative stuff,
Yeah.
and things I could see really getting adapted in the bigger industry at some point. But yeah, that was it was one of the coolest things for me because as you guys know, if you don't know already, I do a lot of unboxings of different action figures, and I was really looking forward to seeing Metacom in person and being able to see those different toy companies that I've heard about, just didn't really get a chance to learn much. And this con definitely did that for me. I'll be going back.
Awesome. Yeah. It was really cool. I think it got us exposed to some stuff that we had never seen before, and now we are fans of. And I think that's really the point. And I know kind of the designer toy community raised an eyebrow when the director of DCon, Ben, announced that there's going to be a Saturday Mornings by Funko booth, and people are like, ew, Funko, why? But like it brought some people there that, I had never seen 1,000 toys before or even knew what it was. But it brought some of that Funko fans into that world, and we were able to check out some really cool stuff. So I think it was a win-win.
Yeah. And for a company that's known for, it's Funko Pops, you think of Funko Pops.
Yeah.
They came out so strong with their cereal and supporting that brand of their company. They didn't have a single pop out there, and they still were just flooded every day.
Yep.
It says a lot about Funko that they can come to a designer con where they haven't been before, that maybe there's a little controversy, about them being there, but then they show up and they're such awesome people, and they make a great experience. It's like, okay, what were we even worrying about? Funko really stepped up to the plate.
For sure. So I think our special guest, Ian, are you still there? Your video is turned off. All right, I think we lost our special guest. Oh, there he is.
There he is. His video's back.
Did you have a question
and
for
it's
us?
gone again.
Did you have a question for a special guest?
No.
Okay.
Any
last thoughts on the Designer Con?
I do.
Okay. What do you got?
What was your favorite part of Designer Con?
Oh, good question.
Ooh, good question.
Who do you want to go first? You pick. Ian,
It's
pick
gonna
someone.
go Nate, Jeremy, Scott, and then you, Larry.
Okay.
Well, one of my favorite parts, and we mentioned this before, but this is the first time all 4 guys have been able to go. I thought that was really cool that we all were able to get there and do it. And it was a fun experience for all of us. And, to kind of share that. And the first time I had been to Designer Con, it was cool. I got to say, though, my favorite part was probably just exploring the floor, to be honest, and seeing all the people that I had mentioned, I've heard mentions of, but never been able to really experience, and be able to take my time and kind of talk to those people. And just the friendliness from everybody, all the vendors, everybody was just so approachable. Loved to talk about what they were doing. That to me was a lot of fun.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, so I think, Jeremy, you're next.
Oh, so I was going to say, I want to kind of echo your kind of sentiments in regards to that, just because literally it's cool literally hanging out with some of your best friends anyways, but really hanging out with your best friends at a con is just it's a completely different experience altogether. But, plus also we had the podcast and different things like that. It was really cool, honestly, to hang out with the entire crew, but then two, like I said, to experience something new together. And I think, like I said, this kind of opened my eyes into, like I said, a different world of some of the different things that are out there. And like I said, I'm honestly looking forward to actually probably going back next year. It's a con that wasn't necessarily, kind of like to Larry's point, it wasn't on my radar until Funko went there. But regardless of even if Funko's there next year or not, it's a con that I probably still want to go to, just because I said I had such a good time.
Yeah, it was genuinely fun. So I think, Scott, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I do have to agree.
Let's go, Scott.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
I have to agree with Jeremy, like saying like this con, I will definitely go back. Like it doesn't matter who's gonna be there again. Like if some of the people, like, I bought a ton of shit that I probably didn't need, but like I will be I will be going back even if I don't get a chance to buy anything or anything strikes my fancy. But okay, so what was my favorite part? You guys already stole the good sentimental crap, so I guess we'll move on from there. My favorite was all that Jurassic Park stuff. Seeing the replicas of not only the vehicles, which you see at a couple of cons every once in a while. Some that took time for that, but the fact that they brought in like the life-size replica of the T-Rex to the con, like I love that damn thing. Like I took so many pictures of that. Like it was amazing.
The detail was crazy awesome.
Yeah,
like it was so cool.
But yeah, sharing the same sentiment, like being able to walk around and see all the different stuff, and just said I didn't buy a whole lot of stuff other than the Funko things, but it was awesome just to go see what everyone had and like to look around and see all the different stuff.
So, you guys,
your turn, Larry.
You guys stole all the good answers.
I know.
Like
I was like,
so.
God damn it! I got everything taken from me. Let me be sentimental for once, damn it.
That's what happens when your kid picks you to go last. So yeah, hanging out with you guys, hanging out with Ian, hanging out with Scott's family, Jeremy's wife. Like it was awesome. So cool that we all got to go. That was by far the best part, of course. But for a close second, I'm going to say the location. Like being in Anaheim, right? Ian and I went to DCon on Friday and Saturday. Sunday, Monday, we went to Disneyland because Disneyland's right there. So it's the perfect place to have a convention. The weather in Anaheim in November is awesome. It was a little warm on Friday. When we were at Disney on Monday, it was totally overcast in like low 70s and perfect. Couldn't have picked a better day to be outside. So you guys are awesome, but I'm going with the weather too is my big, or not going with the weather and location is my close number 2 reason I loved DCon. What about you, Ian? Did you say your favorite?
Ian, you gonna tell us your favorite thing?
You're on mute, dude.
You're on mute,
I think he's muted there.
You're still on mute, dude.
There you go, Ian.
There you go. What was your favorite thing?
My favorite thing was doing this.
Oh my gosh.
So, your favorite thing is muting me just now?
Yeah.
On the podcast?
No.
Or are you saying that your favorite thing was being a guest on the STS Guys for about 60 weeks now? Maybe 61. You've been asking to be a special guest on the STS Guys podcast. Is it like a dream come true?
Not very much now.
Was it everything you thought it would be?
That is 100% the answer I was expecting.
Sipping on that Gatorade.
No.
Do you still want to start your own podcast?
Yes.
Yeah?
If we were to start a podcast, what is it going to be about, and what is the title of said podcast?
Pod Flanders.
Ooh, I like that.
Pod Flanders? That sounds like a Simpsons podcast. I would love to be a part of that.
I'm pretty sure everyone would. How about Jeremy, Nate, and Scott would like to be part of Pod Flanders?
Shameless.
Awesome.
That sounds amazing.
Larry, the master of the shameless plug.
Hopefully by the end of this weekend, we'll have the first episode of Pod Flanders that we're doing live on YouTube. And then, yes, of course, Jeremy, Nate, and Scott can be special guests.
I'm just saying, I'm the leader of Pod Flanders this time. I'm being leader so I can mute you as much as I want and stuff.
Oh, maybe we're not going to do this podcast after all.
That sounds like it's going to work really well.
I'll show you.
I do real quick. I have to give a shout out. Honestly, I'm gonna pop my own color.
What was that
I'm gonna
for?
give a shout out to Scott. Me and Scott didn't curse at all during this podcast.
No, I did. No, I did. Jeremy, don't take credit for that. I totally did.
When?
No cursing.
I said the S word a couple of times. I realized.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that.
I do want to give a special shout out to Jeremy's wife.
Yeah,
she was awesome in holding all of our stuff, and she didn't complain at all. and she was a total trooper the whole time. And
I'll do a shout out to my wife for also have to stick in that Funko line to get me the second box of all the cereals, because I will say that was not an easy thing to convince a wife to do, but she did it. So special thanks to her for that.
Yes, and our friend Nicola throws out that her favorite thing at DCon. And you muted me. Nicola's favorite thing was meeting Ian. I'm not sure why, because he's not being very nice right now.
All right. So
I like having fun.
All right. Remind us again, Ian. Where can we find you on YouTube?
The STS Guys?
Yes, you are a guest on the STS Guys, but you have your own channel. How do I get there? What's it called?
Ian Doge. Just go
right.
to iandoge.com and you'll see a bunch of Ian Doge videos. And just to say, I have one more thing to say before I stop talking.
Tell us. Oh.
all right.
And he muted
And-
again.
And I'm muted.
Let's say goodnight to Ian Doge. Good night, Ian Doge.
Bye, Ian.
All
Gone.
So
Wait, so real quick, if
go
you're not already following us on Instagram, head over to, you can follow us on Instagram at STS Guys. We posted up a ton of pictures from Designer Con, like we do at every con. So make sure to give us a follow. Chances are we'll follow you back unless you look like a spam account. We're also on Twitter at STS Guys. We're on Facebook at the STS Guys, and I'm Larry from the STS Guys.
And I was Ian from the STS Guys.
chilling like a villain.
Yeah, also special thanks and shout out to everybody that let us do an interview with them while we were at Designer Con. We're going to be doing a walkthrough video where we'll have interviews of some awesome vendors that we got to meet. So big thanks to you guys for spending time with us and letting us interview you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that video will be going up shortly. Like I said, I'm still kind of downloading a lot of the footage from a lot of the different sources that we have. So I'll be editing that over the Thanksgiving holiday. So I expect that probably sometime this weekend.
Awesome.
All right. So for episode 61 of the STS Guys, I've been Jeremy.
Hey, it's Larry.
Hey guys, it's been Nate.
And I'm Scott. And I did it on time that time.
Two things. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And a quick moment of silence for Stanley.
Yes, I was going to say yes. Moment of silence.
Get me away now.
Larry.
Moment of silence, everyone.
Moment of silence.
The best moment of silence the SCS guys could do.
Feels about right.
True.
Say bye, Ian.
True Stanley.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everybody.
yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And
Thanks
bye.
for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
And hey, I was Ian.